This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
The Canadian winter can be notoriously harsh. Though racing is big up here in the north, obviously the seasons can limit how long drivers can whip around the track. Thankfully, the virtual world sees no such restrictions. The circuit Gilles Villeneuve can play host to events any time of year here on iRacing. Today, we'll see who manages a win in the dead of winter as we get ready to watch round 2 of the Weekend Warriors, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel and the iRacing Esports Network. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Stefan Schlacker. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. While this track is famous for hosting Formula One and is known the world over, there's always a chance that we have viewers who haven't seen this place before. So why don't we send it down to our lap guide and help them show them around? All right, we're in the GSRC SRF, so let's do a lap around Montreal. Down into the Senna S. While this will see some overtakes, it's very tough to get it done unless your nose is well ahead of the other car in the braking zone. Honestly, in the SRF, this is a tricky set of corners overall, where you might find it's easy to spin the car. Power off the corner as soon as you're confident you can apply the throttle, and then we head towards turn 3. Passing into here is a lot less common, and it's one of the less talked about corners when it comes to danger, because that exit wall is right there to collect you. It just isn't as famous as some of the other spots around this circuit. You can stay flat out through 5, but you'll need to make sure and hold to the right for a better line into turn 6. It's going to be tempting to chop off that red section inside the curb, but it upsets the car horribly. Keep the car planted and get back on the gas very early, because this leads onto the Riverside stretch. Drivers will find they can get a bit of a draft along here even if they haven't outgunned their opponent. But if you're side by side as you come into the braking for turns 8 and 9, be wary. The curbs to the inside are way too tall for this car to handle, and if you hit them too hard, it'll bounce you around so much you'll spin out. Yet again, watch out for the understeer so that you don't plow into the concrete wall, and now we fly towards Lapingle. This is a popular place for overtakes to happen, not just because it's a very sharp hairpin, but because it's the only braking zone on the whole track that isn't a chicane. But avoid the temptation to brake too late, since it'll be pretty easy to enter the corner way too hot. At that point, all your opponent has to do is pull an over-under and fly past you again along the backstretch. And a good exit off the hairpin is really what matters here because of how long this straight is. You're already going to get a huge slipstream, and on top of it, you've got another big braking event into the final chicane. Again, stay off those huge white curves, and here it's especially important. The Wall of Champions plays no favorites, and you wouldn't be alone in taking an embarrassing trip to the barrier. Now that we've come back to the pit straight, it's a drag race to the line where hopefully you've now finished a lap around Montreal. It's a lot of chicanes throughout this lap, but Steph, despite that, you would think that most drivers wouldn't like this place, but it seems relatively popular among racers.
Oh yeah, most definitely, Joe. For example, for me, it's one of my most favorite tracks on iRacing, or pretty much in the world, especially when the Red Bull Ring or any Austrian track isn't in any of the games. That's what I call my home track. Either way, Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve, right here in Montreal. Pretty much in the smack middle of Montreal as well. 2.71 miles, a lot of turns, a lot of chicanes, 13 turns of them, and 7 of those turns are actually part of a chicane. You would think that speed is quite low on this track. You would be quite wrong with that thought, because this track has still a very high average speed in no matter what car. What makes this place special? It's those sausage curbs that these guys will most definitely have to avoid, and don't forget about those walls with that on-throttle understeer. These guys can most likely hit them during the throttle period.
Yeah, there'll be a few walls that we'll talk about a bit. I'm sure some viewers already know which one I'm referring to. But before we get to that talk, let's talk about the sponsor. The Weekend Warriors is brought to you by SimStickers. Whether it's button boxes, steering wheels, or keyboards, they have you covered. And now, if you use the promo code GSRC10 when purchasing, you get 10% off all orders for the whole season. You can find out more at simstickers.co.uk. Now, let's take a look at the championship. The Spec 1 drivers currently being led by, well, who else? David Gaspers is up at the front again with his victory last week, with some bonus points, obviously, increasing it over the 100 he gets for the win. Sadro almost got him. It was oh so close, but he'll still have to settle for second at Road America. McReevy, Haycox, and Asai. Three names up at the top that are, some of them are new and could give us a little bit of a shakeup there for those top 5 points throughout the rest of the season. We'll keep an eye on that. Before we do, let's go to the Spec 2 points. Steph, where are those sitting?
Well, a little bit unexpectedly, the first place in the Spec 2 class, Larry McLeod, sitting 44 points behind in 12th place of your overall leaders. He has 64 points to his name. Second place, Tony Schuch, very close between them, just 1 point behind. William Smith, 3 points behind in third place. Sean Fleming, 5 points behind. Aaron Fergal and David Burrow, they're both Dominic Burrow, sorry. They are both tied there for that 5th place, only 6 points behind Larry McLeod after the first race of the season. So these guys most definitely can't get much more packed than they are right now.
Yeah, awful tight there for Spec 2. Should give us some excitement as things go on. Let's look at today's race at least and the details involved in it. As we mentioned, we're in round 2 of a 12-race season. The setups are open on these Spec Racer Fords, but there's not a whole lot you can tweak on them. And in fact, they've even limited the fuel cell compared to what the real cars have. That's to force a pit stop that they will have at least one of during this race, this 40-minute race that we have today. They actually ration the points, a bit unique in this series. So what that means is that last place always gets 25 points, even though first place always gets 100. The podium will be consistent, of course, as the season goes on. That will not change, but everything below that gets sorted out. They get penalty points if they have too many off tracks. You can get those here, but usually those come with a slowdown penalty, so don't expect too many of them. And they have a free repair free repair if they get any damage, so they can come back in and get a completely clean and fresh car so that they can keep racing. As always, we want to remind you that you're watching this on the iRacing Esports Network. Make sure and subscribe. It's very easy to do so. If you scroll below here on YouTube, you'll see a big red button that says subscribe, and you won't miss a moment here on IESN. And, of course, don't forget about our merchandise store. There's a big deal going on right now for us. If you subscribe to GSRC, so head on over to GSRC channels and subscribe. We are doing a free giveaway. 2 people will be chosen after the holidays, and they will get to choose one item of their choice from our merchandise store. So go check that out, see if there's anything you want, and also make sure and subscribe to GSRC. Right now on the provisional poll, it is David Gaspers, and Steph, it is a monster gap back to Daniel Sadler right now. More than half a second between the two of them. That doesn't bode well.
Well, it's David Gaspers in it. Yeah, I don't know. For this series, first place, just book it for David Gaspers. He's going to get it anyway. Even if he doesn't intend to race, he still gets it. You know, that's just the sport, how it is sometimes, even in the virtual world. You just have someone who's just that much better than anyone else in this car, or doesn't matter what it is. And right now, that truly is David Gaspers. He got this car, this track, everything figured out to an extent where he can just pull away from everyone else. Daniel Sadler, he sure as hell is looking at getting a little bit of help right now in the hand of Paul Gooden, getting himself a little bit of draft to maybe be able to topple that lap from David Gaspers.
Sadly, looks like we won't have Aaron Vagley here. He's been talking to us in the YouTube chat. Sad that we don't have you around, Aaron, at least for this race during the holidays, but we wish you a happy holidays and that we see you return soon. Right now, with 5 minutes to go, we're watching Dominique Bureau, who's actually put himself up into 4th. A great show behind him. That was a big hit for Antonio Reese, who was on his lid and spinning like a top, apparently. So that dreidel is going to have to go back to the pits.
Did he manage that, though? That's... Rather interesting. Oh, he went... okay. The inside of the curb got him there, then he got hit twice by some cars. Got him spinning on his head.
Well, I certainly hope he wasn't in VR, because he might need a barf bag after that one. How about Billy Bob Wright? He is way up there right now, and though he's kind of been a top 10 runner in some past races recently, the 49 car is now sitting on the second row, and actually not too far off the Sadro. There you see him coming down in his British Racing green through past the Wall of Champions. This is the one that everybody loves to talk about here, Steph. That famous Wall of Champions at the end of the lap.
Yeah, it's overrated. No, in reality, I've once seen a statistic that actually that Wall of Champion gets hit less than the exit out of the chicane that Billy Bob Wright is coming up now, and the right-left chicane going up to Lepingo. Those two walls get hit way more and way often than the Wall of Champion.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me too much. Turn 4 and I think it's turn 9 you're talking about, the two that tend to get thwacked by drivers. Those can be underestimated. Just because they don't have names like the other ones, it doesn't mean that they're any less dangerous. And
David
Gaspers.
Another 10th he takes out of his own time, now 55.2.
Woo.
Meaning he is now nearly 8/10 ahead of Daniel Sadra.
Now, we talked about there being pit stops, and, well, that's always something that you have to watch out for in this series, because it can play a factor in the race. And we've got Ryan Walker down in the pits for us, keeping an eye on how things are going to be going down there. Ryan, you've got experience racing with this series at this track. Is there any advantage to trying to duck off early if you find yourself caught up in a pack, or is this a case where it's better to try and stay out as late as possible?
I think if you're stuck at the front, or you're at the front rather, it's probably best just to stay out as long as possible and just run the tank dry. If you're in the mid-pack and stuck in traffic, it's maybe worth a shot pitting early, just to see if you can try and get some clear air. But I think maybe some people in the mid-pack as well will try and fuel save and maybe try and stretch out as long as possible and not lose too much time in the pit stop. So yeah, there's several different strategies that people could use, and yeah, also some early news as well before tonight gets underway. Yeah, Nico Shoot unfortunately had to pull out with some wheel damage to his Fanatec wheels, which is unfortunate because he's one of my favourite drivers to watch in the Spec 2 class from time to time, and he always gets a good result. So unfortunate news, but hopefully it gives some of the other drivers in Spec 2 a chance to maybe take some points and try and pull away from him in the standings.
Yeah, certainly it'll be tough for him to try and come back, though they do have drop weeks. Miroslav Juracek, in the meantime, has bumped himself up to second place, but still 7/10 behind David Gaspers. That makes it awful close between Juracek and Sadro there, about 1,500 splitting those two. Real quick, Ryan, because you mentioned fuel saving in the mid-pack. I know that they've got the long stretch down to the final chicane, and I think that's the longest straight on this track. Are any of the other straights long enough that really can do some lift and coast in the drafts? Or where are people going to be saving fuel here?
The only straights I can think of is maybe at the end of the back straight heading for the final chicane, or maybe the home straight. That's the only places I can think of. But with been so many corners around Montreal, I don't think there'll be a lot of fuel saving going on. Maybe just a little bit, but not as much as you would get at maybe some of the longer tracks.
Yeah, it's certainly a unique one out here, as we've now got just about a minute to go. Seeing if anybody getting ready to complete their lap. Looks like Billy Bob Wright is done, as he's now in pit lane. See Dominic Bureau. Oh, no, he's on the start of the lap, it looks like. So this is going to be his final. So Bradshaw, who we're watching down in 22nd currently, has 2 1,000s to make up to Stevie Ray, who's got 9 1,000s to make up to Van Dormelen. There we go, I got it out. And then he's got 1 100th up to Ramon Regalado. So that group very, very tightly packed.
And that was a much faster lap there for Adam Bradshaw, putting himself up to 12th place. the number 5 now behind the number 56 in the standings. And one thing I want really to emphasize here is Dominic Bureau, our 5th place driver right now. That's a Spec 2 class driver, right ahead of Erwin Rothkranz, who is our 2nd place Spec 2 driver, right there in 6th place. If you don't know how to differentiate those two classes, it's simple. Spec 2, that's your 200 number and above.
Fitterer, the teammate to Sadro, comes across, does not improve on his last qualifying lap because the checkered flag is now out. Sentowski, who is well down the order, really needs a better one. He does it. That'll get him up to 27th, solidly into the mid-pack. Looks like Tabor won't get a time in as he doesn't have that one count. No improvement for Bob Kern, nor Jason Brown. Got a lot of drivers still out on track trying to get one last fast one in. What about Brett Holton? He's in the top 10 right now. Not easy to do in this field. He doesn't go any quicker, it looks like. Antonio Reese, who's got the car back on the wheels now, also doesn't go any quicker, but he's in 9th, so that'll be a good start on the 5th row. See PJ Gowdy, also a name I don't recognize in this series. I'm not sure if this is his first, but he's in 10th right now in the 777. His fastest time of a 1:56.6, about a second and a half off of our pole, and he's not going to get any closer than that as he doesn't improve. Sadro across the line, stays put in 3rd. So 2nd place in the championship has got some work to do. Bradshaw also stays 12th.
Wayne Walker coming over the line for his only timed lap, and that's a 2 minutes 02, sorry. So a banker for him to put him last on the cars that have put in a qualifying time. Evan Roldkans comes across the line for another time. A 56.4, not good enough to improve on his 6th place.
Seeing if we got anybody else. Yeah, I see Fitterer coming in. So that is the last of the field. And we've got a lot of them. And since it's a short pace lap, why don't we start through our starting grid here for today with David Gaspers, as we've seen many times, on the pole. He's not going to try to come from behind this time. Miroslav Juracek will be starting in 2nd place with Daniel Sadro in 3rd. Billy Bob Wright, how about that? 4th place for him outside of the 2nd row. Dominique Bureau starting 5th and on the pole for our Spec 2 race. Erwin Rotkranz is going to be starting his outside, our next Spec 2 driver. That should be fun to watch. Donald Fitterer starts in 7th with Brett Holton in P8. Antonio Reese managed to put it in 9th, and we followed him across the line, PJ Gowdy. So rounding out your top 10.
Row number 6 will be the row of the 5s. It's the 56, lining up alongside the 5 of Adam Bradshaw, the 56, obviously Steve Nelson right there. Chris Murakami, the 01, starting in 13th alongside Edward Doherty. At Doherty, a little bit out of place here, so expect him to go at least far into the top 10. Fred Desai, 15th place for him, alongside Larry McLeod in 16th, Jason Perry at Spidey in 17th place, and the number 18 takes on place number 18 on the grid. That's Kurt and Nunes. Ian Haycox in 19th, and 20th gets rounded out by Ramon Regalado.
Tim Van Dormelen starts 21st. Stevie Ray, some people didn't even expect him to be here today, but he did show up, and he'll start 22nd. Samuel Dick, 23rd for him, with Paolo Brehm in 24th. Then you've got Emil Orza starting P25. Richard Franco will be to his outside in the 26th spot. We watched Neil Sentowski manage to get a time in at the last second and wind up 27th. Nick Carty will be 28th. Wayne Palmer starts 29th. Then we've got in 30th, Yuri Cox.
31st goes to the 30 of Tom Gradwell. Geoff Jacobson takes 32nd on the grid. Paul Cotton, 33rd, goes to him, alongside Rick Hansen in 34th. Chris Ewerman, 35th on the grid. Paul Jackson, the 5th, in 36th. Mark Gehan, 37. The number 6 of Bob Kern, only in 38th. That's totally out of position for Bob Kern. Expect him to, I would say, at least go into the top 20 here today. Kenneth Batley, 39th, goes to him, and J. William Smith takes home 40th on the grid.
Last few cars to get time in is Gary Wobold in 41st, Richard Gordakowski in 42nd, and Jason Brown 43rd. Wayne Walker, last one with a time, 44th. We've got James DeBoer, Michael Shaw, and Ian Wilson rounding out the field. I do see everybody still in the session except for Ian Wilson. So I think we're going to be seeing 46 cars take the start as they've already started behind the pace car. This is going to be a full field here today, and hopefully they can get through the first lap clean because, well, there is nowhere to hide around this track. If you start to get a blockage, the big wreck happens in front of you, especially in some of the narrow portions where there's walls right on either side. Up to the final chicane. Gaspers is going to have control as the Porsche pace car now peels off. And Gaspers starts right away. Green flag is out here for round 2 on the Weekend Warriors. Gaspers gets a decent jump, but Juracek called it well. He's already gaining a little bit of time as they come up to the first few corners. This is a potential trouble zone a lot of times as drivers try to sort themselves mostly single file. Many are already as they start to break for the corner. You have to get to the mid-pack before drivers are going wheel to wheel.
Yeah, 10th place is where it is right now. That's between Jason Perry and Larry McLeod. They're still side by side going now into turn 3. Let's see what happens between those two. Jason Perry able to defend that position ahead of Larry McLeod.
This is where things get really narrowed now through 3 and 4. You can see the leaders already into turn 6. Gaspers leading the way ahead of Juracek. No change up there for the top 3 with Sadro rounding out the podium. Nice calm start so far. Knock on wood. I'm not seeing anything in the back of the field quite yet. I do see it looks like Paul Godin had a bit of a spin, but he gets it going once more.
Yeah, the quick start of David Gaspers really helped with stretching out this field. Also, obviously, the chicane right there at the end spread them out. Chris Murakami now with a little bit of a bottleneck there happening. Doherty got caught out by that. They're now 3 wide going under the Dart Bridge. So Larry McLeod actually gets 2 with that move, but here comes Jason Perry back at him. They're going 2 and 2 into Le Ping.
Red Desai is going to be able to come out the best of them as he pulls ahead of the group into 13th. Everybody jockeying for position. Perry ahead of Murakami, ahead of Doherty, who's side by side with Larry McLeod now. That's Kurt Nunez getting a double toe behind them. See where he wants to go, but already we've got Murakami trying to come back on Perry.
This is going to get interesting. 2 and 2 won't work into the chicane here. Let's see what happens. They're still 2 by 2. Doherty tries a little bit of a move there on Chris Murakami. They're now finally single file. Doherty though with the run of Chris Murakami. So this might not be over between those two.
And it's 3 wide behind them. Nielsen Towski had a great run just weaving through that chicane. And let's see how they take it down into the first corner. Santowski's going to be on the outside of the first.
There's a little bit of a spin.
We got a big wreck. What is going on here? Trying to figure out who that is. Brett Holton is one of them. Is that Regalado there?
Fitterer and Rice. Holton, Fitterer and Rice. Also PJ Gowdy was involved in all of that kerfuffle. That will need a replay.
I believe that starts with Holton.
Oh!
And Elson has had a problem. Facing the wrong way.
Oh, and there's more trouble. It's Palmer into the wall.
Had to take a toe. Well, we got through the first lap and wound up having the second lap be the worst one of the two. This is Holton. Let's see, does he get help turned around or is it?
Yeah, he will get help there from Fitterer, just a little bit too late on the break there for Fitterer. Runs him over, and then a little bit of a kerfuffle in behind. Fitterer gets slowed down, and then Bradshaw gets turned around with Reese.
Now we switched over to Elson. And this happened in 3 and 4. We talked about the dangers of those corners.
Wow, Elson just very unlucky going to be here through 4. Hits that grass there, spins nearly out, saves it once, saves it twice, and then loses it the third time, other way around. And then we're gonna see now Wayne Palmer is gonna come right to that scene, and very unlucky, he gets hit from behind by Tom Gradwell, and he gets sent into the wall. About 6 rows for him into the pits he then goes. Yeah,
Gradwell's been taking some repairs since then, it looks like. David Gaspers, in the meantime, setting the fastest lap of the race up at the front of the field. Right on board with Sadro, still in third position. But they're dropping Billy Bob Wright. It's nearly 2 seconds back to the Floridian right now. And that'll be useful for them.
Big battle right now for 11th place once again, right behind Rick Hansen. And now for 12th place, Jeff Jacobson gets that around. Mark Dehan gets spun around by Chris Jurman in behind there. Still, this field is not settling down.
This is a lot of drivers as they come down to turn 3. A huge pack heading into here. They all eventually get single file. Jurman leading the way ahead of Bob Kern, who's trying to make up for his poor qualifying. Smith following him through. As they come out of turn 7 along the Riverside Straight now, one of the longer stretches. A little bit of a challenge back there between Jackson and Shaw. Number 55 is going to be able to get to the inside, but can he manage to seal the deal as they hit the braking zone? Oh no! Instead, they hit the wall. Both of them coming together.
Yeah, it seems like it's just a 2-car incident right there as we go on to replay to really see what unfolded there between those two. On aboard now with the red and white car of Paul Jackson.
Yeah, they went under the bridge just as they touched, and I didn't realize until they came out the other side.
And you know what? That is down to how this track on the outside is. There, you can see there's a little bit of a kink in the road, and Jackson had to avoid that grass. And because of that, he came together with Michael Shaw, and then, yeah, physics did the rest. Both of them go right into the wall. I think actually Shaw had the bigger damage than Jackson.
Sad to see that. Let's hop down to 13th because Neil Santowski is continuing a great climb through the field. Kurt Nunez to his inside right now.
Oh, gets forced off the track.
Kurt's not playing around. And whoa! As they switch positions and Santowski takes to the inside of turn 3. Now he's able to get the spot away. He certainly didn't seem to appreciate that from Kurt.
Yeah, Santowski. That name is programmer. Right there, sends it right down the inside of Kurt Nunez. No prisoners taken there whatsoever. Kurt Nunez, and now down in 14th place with Neil Santowski back into 13th.
That was Samuel Dick, get him by Regalado behind them there. You see with the yellow car for Dick, the blue for Regalado, and defending to the inside, Ian Haycox with Stevie Ray close behind. Not going to be able to make it stick though.
I really wonder what strategy Niels is on right now, because he has climbed quite nicely through the field. I think he's actually also our biggest gainer right now in the field, started in 27th, now in 13th. And, you know, I wonder if it might be a little bit beneficial for him to stop a little bit early and just take that clean air once again.
Meanwhile, second place has changed hands. Sadro, who was waiting patiently behind Juracek, has watched David Gaspers start to peel away from the two of them. I think he's on the go now and is eager to try and catch up to the multi-time champion so he can see if he can stop him from winning another one. Gaspers has been on a non-stop streak. Actually, I'd have to check. It's not just since last season, but I need to see if he won the race, the final race of the season prior than that. But it's been just an incredible run there from the number 1 machine as we dip back here to 4th with Billy Bob Wright still fighting with Dominique Bureau.
Right now, most of the action is still around that 10th place in the pack, as Kurt Nunez just now lost another place to Samuel Dick down into turn 1. But yeah, even these 3 cars, they are a little bit ahead, but they are also still fighting for the one. And don't forget, that's also for the Spec 2 lead there between Dominic Piro and Erwin Wolfhansen.
We can't forget about that. Right now as we ride on board, though, with Ian Haycox here as he gets really close behind Kurt Nunez, looking to go on the attack. Nunez, does he defend? He drifts a little bit across the track, but that tends to be the natural racing line here.
Up ahead, Neil Santowski just got past Larry McElott after he had a horrible run.
Sorry.
Out of the last turn.
Sorry, that was Ian Haycock sliding through and managing to take it away from Kurt Nunez quite decisively. So the 35 now up to 15th spot. Let's take a look at that. We didn't even actually get to see it on screen, but...
Ian Haycock spins out.
Yeah, just as we go to replay, we'll stick with this replay and see it again. After what was a brilliant move, unfortunately, the green and silver car falls back down to 16th. Can't believe it made that corner.
Kind of looks like me in the Lotus 49. Just sliding past there. But yeah, you're going to see now Ian Haycock's going to go into the pingle a little bit too late on the brake. Just about 10 meters or so too late on the brake there. That makes him overshoot the turn. He brakes a little bit more to get that slowed down. And yeah, Kurt Nunez sadly nowhere to go to avoid that spinning car of Ian Haycock's.
Without much exit speed, Ramon Regalado easily got past him, but then Ian Haycock's is... oh, no, it's Stevie Ray that got past him, excuse me. Ramon Regalado still behind him. Right on board with Kurt Nunez now looking back at Stevie Ray. Question is, when are we going to see that 11 car disappear? Because typically, he's one of the first to pit.
Oh, Kurt Nunez a little bit overshooting that first apex, but gets it slowed down nicely there through 4. So he is not losing any momentum to Stevie Ray. And let's see, we're now, what is that, 10 minutes? Actually, wow, we're already 11. Yeah, we're 11 minutes into this race. Yeah. So I would expect these guys to start pitting at the earliest part in like 4 minutes or so, as Ian Haycock looks to the inside of Stevie Ray. And as you said, Stevie Ray probably one of the first guys to take to that pit stall as he cuts off Ian Haycock there a little bit.
Yeah, it looks like Haycock could do it on Nunez, but not on Stevie Ray. He sticks with him as they head down towards Le Pingle. This is one of the best battles we've got out on track right now. Gets a little bit of a slipstream, but up to the hairpin, I don't think he's quite close enough to make that one stick, so he'll stay in line.
Actually, in P8, we had a change through Le Pingle. That was between Jason Perry and PJ Gowdy. PJ Gowdy, that's also one of your Spec 2 drivers. Gowdy now looking at coming back at Jason Perry. Decides better of it, though. Up ahead for 4th place, we had a small change. Billy Bob Wright lost out to Dominic Bureau through the chicane, but with a bad exit.
Oh, they're coming together! Bureau pushed off track, but he gets the car woed up, and Rotkrans manages to take advantage. He moves into 5th place. That actually changes the lead on the Spec 2. Let's see what happened here. Yeah, Billy Bob was coming back at him here, Steph, just as you were saying he had got him, and Bureau ran out of racetrack.
Yeah, I caught that from my camera angle. Just saw that Bureau was going wide after making the pass on Billy Bob Wright, and I don't know. Billy, a little bit of a mental lapse there, just forgets that he has Bureau on this right side. Thankfully, nothing happened there except for a change of hands in Spec 2 lead. Evan Rotkans tries to go to the inside of Billy Bob Wright, but gets the door slammed in his face.
Billy Bob's a hard defender. We saw that in the Lotus 49s, but he's bringing that philosophy here over to the Spec Racer Fords as well. As Bureau now tries to use a good exit off of turn 9 to see if he can get the spot back from Rotkrans. Again, this is for the lead in that Spec 2. This is important to these two drivers. Breaking down into Le Pingle. Nobody has a go here. As this has been going on, I think we've had some takers for scheduled stops. Ryan, have you been watching and seeing if any of these drivers are scheduled, or are those all people getting repair damaged?
Yeah, just seen Jeff Jacobson in the pits. I just missed his pit stop, but I think it was just I think it might have been out of sequence, possibly just getting some damage repaired and getting his free fast repair. So yeah, out of sequence, I think. So he might be back in the pits at some.
The change for position. That was Wayne Walker that we saw go off, but Rotkrans just got by Billy Bob Wright. Billy Bob's pulling the same move again as he gets the good run off the corner. Let's hope he gives him space this time, though. This time,
not enough.
Squeeze. Oh, no, he is going to squeeze him off, but he gets tipped into the wall, and Billy Bob Wright finds himself with heavy damage. Let's watch this another time.
Yeah, you're gonna see he squeezes him ever so slightly. Evan Rothkranz says no to that, and Billy Pope Wright spins himself over the nose of Evan Rothkranz. Thankfully, though, for Billy, not too much damage to his car. He's actually able to continue his sitting right now in 7th place.
Either Billy Bob needs to get himself a new spotter, or he's got to learn to give a little bit more space down into that corner. That was unfortunate to see it wind up that way. He returns in 7th, but a badly damaged car means he should probably see him in the pits here soon. Meanwhile, our traditional early pitter has come in. Ryan, I think you've had a Stevie sighting.
Yeah, just seen Stevie Ray coming out of the pits. Yeah, his pit stop was round about the 10-second mark. So yeah, just a normal pit stop for fuel and no tyres.
He's back out in 26th position. Actually, our highest pitter right now is Stevie Ray in that number 11. You see him heading through turn 6 right now. And did you spot something going on with Rowan out there here, Steph?
Ricardo Franco spun though, the Virginia driver, 273. That is, I think that is turn 8 and 9, that chicane where he is spun. Yeah, that's right where he spun. Sitting in 21st there, just too much curb on the inside, but he was able to avoid the wall.
It keeps going at about 25th, just ahead of Stevie Ray, who we were just talking about. So, do we have a change for 19th? It's Fred Desai, who's decided that he is going to just abandon that battle and come on into the pits. Ian Haycock's Kurt Nunez also coming in with them. So, looks like it's getting awful busy down there for Ryan.
Yeah, it looks like everyone's deciding to come into the pit lane and try and get out of traffic and try and maybe gain some track position through the pit stops as Fred comes into his box, just looking to see how long his pit stop will be. It should be around about 10 seconds, 10 and a half seconds possibly. Round about 13.6 seconds. So yeah, he might have took a little bit more fuel than expected.
It will come out behind Stevie Ray, who still remains our highest pitter. In fact, a few drivers certainly coming out into the thick of things as Nunez returns in 25th spot. You see Ian Haycox as well with the number 96 of Emil Orza, both those drivers having finished their pit stops. Let's take a look at the leader since we haven't checked on them in a while. And unfortunately for Daniel Sadro, Gasper seems to have broken the draft and got away before he could catch him.
Yeah, David Gasper's just a machine himself. His fastest race lap right now, 55.328, is just about a tenth away from his fastest qualifying lap. Just shows how much consistency this guy has with this car. And there's just nothing that Sadro and Juricek can do about that. Actually, Sadro and Juricek were once much closer together. So something happened to Juricek when we weren't looking. But yeah, when those guys were still tandem drafting, nothing they were able to do about the dominant performance right now about David Gasper.
What's interesting to me is that Juricek, despite having the pace in qualifying, has really fallen off of Sadro in all of this. I would have expected him to hold a little bit closer. We continue to watch Rotkranz and Bureau fight.
Actually, Neil Sankowski and Edward Doherty were side by side for the last 3 corners, and they're still going side by side into turn 3. There's a little bit of a nudge by Edward Doherty on Neil Sankowski. So Neil Sankowski stopping on his charge right now, just in 10th place.
Yeah, did a good job of keeping that from becoming a worse incident there for Niels. But 27th on the grid, now up to 10th, as Steph just mentioned. Even if he doesn't get any more spots, Niels should be pretty happy with where he's sitting right now, making up for that poor qualifying with great race pace and great race craft as well. He's been slicing through everybody that he's caught up to. Meanwhile, we're looking at just behind them, that's Sam Dick and Chris Murakami. Murakami, the one leading in the red and white machine, Sam in the yellow car that you see on screen. We hop on board with Sam to see if he can close in and have a go at Chris. Down into Lapingle. Certainly not going to have a chance this time. Tries to square it off. The exit oh so important here, Steph, with how much speed they pick up on their way down to the final chicane.
Yeah, exactly. You're saying it. Lapingle is one of the most crucial turns here at Montreal. It's so important to get it right, like Samuel Dick did. Stevie Ray has some problems.
We'll get to that in a second, because it looks like Dick's gonna get the spot away from Chris, and I think that was a lift from Murakami. So what happened to Stevie Ray here? He's got the car going. Oh, looks like a spin in turn 8 and 9.
Yeah, just that. Self-spin, didn't even hit the curb, just a little bit too much brake on, spins it around, and yeah, does a nice 180 afterwards, and is on his way again, now in 27th.
It's going to give the lead pitting spot to PJ Gowdy now, who's in 21st, but we've got a couple cars that have just pit in front of them. Who do you see coming down pit lane here, Ryan? Have they reached their stalls yet?
Yeah, I've said McLeod's in the pits, Carty's in the pits, Cox is in the pits. Just watching McLeod at the moment. Yeah, just looking at Cloud's pit stop time. His stop was 10.4 seconds, so just fuel by the looks of it. And yeah, he's leaving pit exit right now.
Cloud going to return just behind Emil Orza, so not a bad showing from Larry. Again, our driver up at the top of Spec 2. But he's not leading the Spec 2 race in the race itself today, just in the points. I'm not sure if he'll retain the points lead after this as well. Oh, and Billy Bob Wright just lost another position, and he's yet to pit. I don't know why he hasn't come in to get repairs done. Jason Perry now moves himself up to 7th with the slow-moving number 49 limping around for reasons unknown to us.
Well, it seems that Billy Bob Wright isn't too worried about his top speed right now. Much more focused on the long run right now. But yeah, you're saying it. It's just, I would pit. You're well into the pit window, Billy. So go take that car to the pit lane and be done with that.
Not this time though. Keeps going. Oh no! As Daniel Sadra had an issue. It looks like the Senna S has claimed another victim as Juracek goes by. And this was all his own doing. There was nobody else around. Let's watch from on board.
That is about the weirdest spins you're gonna see through turn 2. Just nobody around him. Yes, there's a few cars pitting out, but just over brakes it. I think that was on a downshift. Just spins it out and does a 180.
Yeah, most drivers we see who lose the car there lose it at the first apex. And weird that he spun it there. And that's just not like Daniel Sadro, who's typically very, very consistent. Wonder if maybe his shifter had an issue, because as we rode on board, it was a little bit of a weird sound on the car.
It sounded like instead of shifting into, I don't know, I think it's a second gear corner there, he shifted into neutral, and because of that he lost the car. Yeah, I don't know, either way he spun out. He is now in 3rd place, chasing down Miroslav Juracek, and that opened up the gap to David Gaspers to about 9 seconds, which also means that Erwin Rothkans and Dominic Beer, that battle for 4th place, or 1st place in the Spec 2 class, however you want to look at that, is now just 3 seconds behind Daniel Sadra.
And looks like Gaspers is in now. He got held up a little bit by traffic, too. He's kind of lucky that there were some incidents happening. Does have some damage. I wonder if that's with the, if he had any contact with that lap traffic. Let's see, we're going to watch the replay here. There's the lapped cars just in front of him.
By my knowledge, David is carrying that damage for quite a bit already. Yeah, he got that in lap 6 while running into the wall a little bit, I think. Yeah, that's exactly what happened there. So, yeah, he's having that damage since lap 6 already.
He's already been in and out of the pits. There's a scary moment with all the lap cars threading the needle effectively to get through there. Nicely done by Gaspers. Looks like this is going to put him back in 7th position now that he is on track.
Yeah, so Gaspers did feel that moment and also that the traffic coming up on him was a little bit too much, and he thinks that he is much safer down here in 7th place, sitting, by the way, right behind
So we're starting to see the dominoes fall up at the top of the field. In fact, much of the mid-pack has come in. It's essentially, except for about 3 cars, the top 14 that we're looking at to enter in as we watch our current leader, Juracek, who inherited after the pit stop for Gaspers. So he should hand that back once he comes in. Sadro's been trying to chase him back down. He's regained a little bit here. It's down to 1.7 seconds. And based on the pace that we saw from Sadro earlier, Steph, I expect he'll have a battle on his hands soon enough.
Yeah, it does seem so. Juracek right now not having the pace of a Daniel Sadro, as they are not going to pit, or at least Juracek is not. Sadro is! So, reversed strategy for Sadro versus Juracek.
Walker, you've raced against Sadro quite a bit over time. Do you think this is a good call? Do you think maybe he could jump Juracek with this move?
I think it's worth a shot if you're Sadro after having that issue. I think it's the only way you're going to get by him in the pit stops. But I'm just watching Sadro coming into his box now, and just looking to see how long the pit stop will be. As it'll just be fuel only, I think. I think so anyway. So just looking to see how long it'll be, and it should be around about 12.7 seconds.
That's comparable with Gaspers, so not bad. He will come back out, and is he in free air? He might not be. It looks like he's got lap traffic in the form of Gary Wobolt. Is Wobolt going to lift? Yes, he is. Nicely done. Heads up by the 215 car to try and not hold up Sadro. So Daniel now has free air in front and can try and put in a good lap. So does Juracek respond? Also waiting on James DeBoer to pit and J. William Smith. Last 3 to take their pit stops with about 13 minutes left to go on the clock. We're getting down to the tail end of this 40-minute race.
And the way I see it, Joe, Juracek should be coming in this lap. Maybe he has enough for another lap, but I don't think so. He didn't have too much draft of Sadro until he made that mistake and dropped off the back of Sadro. So let's see if he does as he comes down the rowing lake. 500 meters to go until the the turning point. And yeah, sure enough, brakes well past the 100 point to go into the pit lane.
All right, so is he going to get jumped by Sadro? He's also had a lot of clear track there.
Oh!
So, I think they managed to ghost. Yeah.
No, they did not ghost anymore. That was genuine contact between Jason Brown and Miroslav Juracek there.
Ooh. Well, I wonder if he'll take his free repair off of that. We'll have Ryan watch that as I keep an eye on Sadro coming through, who's just on the final chicane, past the wall of champions now. Looks like Juracek is in his stall. Ryan, did he take his free repair?
Yeah, it looks like he took his free repair, judging by my replay. So yeah, 11.3 second pit stop. This is going to be close between Juracek and Sadro, possibly.
Oh, he's coming out just about ahead. What's the gap going to be between them? Did Sadro gain anything at the very least? It's showing 1.6, but I'm waiting for that to update. 1.2, half a second gain for Sadro on Miroslav.
Yeah, even though Miroslav Juracek was about 5/10 faster down pit lane, he lost 5/10 to Sadro. So that means about a 1 second net gain on Sadro there, as I think we also have a great battle for 15th.
Yeah, Murakami with McLeod and Orza all together. Very different lines through the corner for all 3 cars. But now they plunge down towards turn 3. McLeod leading the way. Murakami is going to back out of it slightly. Maybe he's going to get himself a bit of a launch. I've seen sneak attacks work up into turn 6 here, Steph.
Yeah, most definitely that can happen sometimes. I always try to do it because drivers never really expect it. They never really defend into this corner because, as I said, they just never expect that one coming, but Chris Murakami not able to do it, so Larry McLeod still ahead in this battle for 14th.
Not missing anything up at the front. This is really our closest fight here around this part of the track. Oh, and I take that back. Ed Doherty had an off. He's going to lose multiple positions, including this group going by. There you see him just slow on the left side of the track, viewers left. I think this happened all on his own through 8 and 9.
Here's the replay. Edward Doherty now going into turn 8 behind Ian Haycox. He has just loosened it over the curb. And that's the thing with these high curbs. You want to take them, but if you don't take enough, like Edward Doherty did right there, you're gonna spin out, and yeah, just really weird how you have to take those curbs.
Ooh, Daniel Sadro has got the bit between his teeth. He's already run down Juracek for second place, but he hasn't passed him yet, as he follows behind in his tire tracks, weaving through turn 5 up to turn 6. I have to imagine the draft maybe helped him gain some of that as well, because that was very quick. That was one lap that he cut down on nearly a second's worth.
Now Daniel Sadro on a mission right now to get that second place of Juracek. And yeah, if you ask me, the position change is going to happen sooner rather than later for those two. Oh, I just want to say that as our director switches to that battle for P6, Donald Fitter and Neil Sankowski, they're going side by side, and then also Jason Perry comes in for a short, brief moment of 3 while Jason Perry now also takes away that position from Donald Fitter. So Donald Fitter in 2 corners, he loses 2 positions.
Yeah, going the wrong way currently. Very much the opposite of Sankowski. Up to 6th now, 20 positions gained. He's got about 10 seconds up to Bureau, so I'm not sure that he can make up that sort of time on him. Let's go back up to P2 because Juracek is pulling along Sadro, but Sadro's going to lift. They do have lap traffic in front. That's Paul Jackson. Would he provide a little bit of a pick here potentially? He's going to stay off to the right side of the track. He'll be slow, but Juracek will have no issues getting by. Still a good run from Sadro as they come down to the Senna S, but back to the racing line for the 51. He doesn't want it yet. Just as that was Brett Holton coming out many laps down. One lap down, rather.
51 there versus the 84. I don't think the 84 has much in their backhand to really defend or really get away from Daniel Sadro. It's a little bit of a sitting duck right there. Daniel Sadro just has so much more speed throughout all of these corners and straights than Miroslav Juracek. It just needs one good run out of Lepingle, and Daniel Sadro will most definitely be past Juracek.
We might even have it here coming up to turn 8. Big defensive move from Juracek going all the way down to the right side of the track. So Sadro decides to wait for it this time. And just behind them, again, Brett Holton is a lap down, but he looks to be a little bit faster as he's holding on to the back of them. Hopefully he doesn't get involved in this fight. They come up to Lepingle. No attempt from Sadro. He's smarter than that. He knows to set himself up for the exit here. Let's see if he gets it, Steph.
Well, he got a good drive. Obviously, as always, you're losing a little bit at the first few meters because Juracek technically is faster on the throttle. But Sadro now gains the slipstream. The slipstream starting to take effect, and there he goes to the right side down the rowing leg.
P2 that he's been wanting back for a number of laps now. Finally within reach, and as he comes back to the racing line, the 51 is now able to claim another second place. He's been getting a lot of them lately. He'd like to be one more step up, but just unfortunately has not been on the offer every time that David Gaspers shows up to race. That battle for the S2 lead, the Spec 2 lead, is currently being led by Rotkrins, but he's left Bureau behind and has really got this one on lockdown at this point.
Yeah, he really has that one on lockdown. That's, by the way, 4th place right now for your 2nd place finisher, so they are most definitely gaining back all those points that they are now behind 5th place in the overall championship, because right now the highest place Spec 2 driver is only in 12th place. Not really a position we are known to be having, especially because I think we had like 4 or 5 Spec 2 drivers in the top 10 at the end of last season. The battle, by the way, for 6th place meanwhile still going on very hotly between Neil Sankowski, Jason Perry, and Don Fittra.
Michael Shaw is in again, and I'm not sure what this is for. So the number 55 trundling down pit lane doesn't appear to have damage.
Wasn't he our first pitcher? I think he was. So
we'll
that
send
would
Ryan to do some checking and see if he could figure out how long ago he last pitted, and we'll come back to him in a bit. This is our leader, though, a driver who definitely is well within the window. Gaspers down the rowing lake and up towards the final chicane. Just has about what looks like 3 laps to go, according to the clock on the screen.
Oh, who is that? Stevie Ray, hard into the wall at turn 8. That's probably his race done.
Ooh, yeah, he hit the front hard. Engine is in the back on this car, but that's going to hurt his top-end speed. The 11 very mangled, unfortunately. Let's watch to see how he did this. He did overshoot this corner early in the race, but he didn't hit anything that time. Wasn't quite so lucky.
Yeah, one could say he makes up for not hitting the wall in the first spin. For an even harder hit in his second spin. By the way, the battle for P6 meanwhile changed hands once again. Jason Perry now in 6th place, but Neil Sankowski looking to take that back right away. Goes to the inside, the blue and white car.
Sankowski's not going to give this one up easily. Just behind them, don't count out Donald Fitterer in the fight. Perry successfully fends off Neil Sankowski for one more corner. Oof, Neil's nearly trying to slide one up the outside, but he gets a shove, and that's going to send him all the way off track. Pulls a Vettel, but he's going to get a slowdown penalty as Fitterer easily goes by.
Yeah, unlike in Formula 1, you get a penalty right away. Neil Sankowski still looking to serve that one, as he also lets Billy go right past. So that means Sankowski now only in 9th place, as Kurt Nunes with some problems.
Oh, don't get back out on the racing line as he pulls right in front of Tom Gradwell. This was in 3 and 4. And you know what? He was in a nice little fight with Doherty. Hits a lot of curb. You'll see it here coming into 3, and that was just too much for the poor little SRF to take.
Yeah, and then one could say he nearly pulled Vettel. A monster Vettel right there. That is. But yeah, Kurt Nunes, yeah, as you said, just too much curb there on the inside, and then spins it back quite swiftly. There's still more than enough room on the inside. That also is the racing line. So yeah, no offense taken there by Kurt Nunes.
Well, it sounds like Ryan's been flipping through the lap charts and looking over the footage. What'd you find out about Michael Shaw? Did you figure out why he came in a second time here?
Yeah, unfortunately I tried to look through the replays and I couldn't find anything, but yeah, I think Shaw might have possibly pitted early in the early stages of the race, maybe trying to go off strategy and gain some track position, but unfortunately had to, when he came into the pits, it looks like there was no damage, so it might have just been possibly maybe 2 or 3 laps short of fuel.
That is a unfortunate call on his part to wind up with that sort of mistake. That was costly for a number of positions. As we look once again at Daniel Sadro, Juracek's been keeping him honest. He's been riding the slipstream ever since we saw that pass for second place. And I almost wondered, Steph, when at first we didn't see Sadro try and pass right away, if maybe he was concerned about that. So, good. Oh, who was that off? That was German. Nearly taking out both second and third place in one go.
Well, 2 for the price of 1. But yeah, Juracek had, I don't know, they both got compromised quite evenly there, so not too much in the wake of one having a better outcome there than the other. Right now we're seeing David Gaspers, who is coming up on his last lap.
Should be getting the white flag here as you see him coming up to the line. We've had a pretty close fight down for 6th place, which we've looked at a little bit earlier between Perry, Fitterer, Santowski, and Billy Bob Wright. I really want to watch and see how this one winds up between those 4. Sort of a best of the rest besides Rotkrins and Bureau, who still will get 4th and 5th, but again, they are Spec 2, is down to the inside. Perry.
Well, that is gonna shake up that Spec 2 class, because Rob Ducans just went into pit lane, so he underfueled his car, giving the P4, and with that also Spec 2 class lead to Dominic Bureau, which also means that this battle right here is now for 5th place. This battle right here, that is Jason Perry, Lukas Jankowski, Don Fitter, and Billy Bob.
Oh, and Bureau unfortunately finds himself with an issue as well, but he still retains that Spec 2 lead. Larry McLeod should be the next one. And in fact, on...
not only... Billy Bob right now off track, and not only was Dominic Bureau off, he's actually also out of fuel.
My goodness, everything is going awry, including for our leader. David Gaspers just hit a lapped car. That was Bob Kern who gets spun around. What is going on at the end of this race? Nobody can keep it on track. Nobody can figure out the fuel. The white flag is out, but who's going to get to the checkered flag first? I think because of Gaspers managing to pull as big of a gap as he did, it was something like 17 seconds back to Sadro. He's pretty safe for now. Thankfully not too damaged. Around and through the wall of champions, David Gaspers is going to take the victory, but it wasn't a clean race for him today. Canada sees David Gaspers P1 with Sadro trying to lead Juracek home. And he's going to be safe through that final chicane as well. Juracek falling back slightly will round out the podium. Well, Jason Perry will really be best of the rest on this one, but he's got to fend off Santowski before he can claim that. Santowski gaining very, very quickly as they now look to break for that final chicane. Defensive move from Jason Perry. He's really got to get a good launch off the corner. It's going to be a drag race to the line because Santowski gets a fantastic run. He looks to the inside. He's off to the left. They almost bang wheels. It's going to be tight, but Perry gets it. Neil Orza also leading Larry McLeod around. And I don't think McLeod's got nearly enough of a run, although he's close. So is he out of fuel? Whoa! Orza cuts it tight on fuel and nearly loses a spot in the process. Got another run to the line here. A lot of drivers trying to sort this out. Tim Van Dorlman is going to beat out Billy Bob Wright. And I think... Let's see, do we have a battle for 24th? Yes, we do. Jay William Smith and James DeBoer still on the lead lap. Let's see who's going to come out ahead on this one. DeBoer attacks, but Smith is not having anything of it. He doesn't even defend into the corner. In fact, I think DeBoer might be a little bit out of fuel as he is very slow off the turn. The 299 going to settle that 23rd spot. So let's watch the replay of Gaspers having this contact with Kern.
Yeah, it's gonna happen into Lepingle, and Bob Kern tried to overtake there on the inside and just... I don't know, I quite honestly can't really tell what Bob Kern did there out of Lepingle, because he all of a sudden really took a very tight right hand.
Yeah, he may have been a little slow and Gaspers wasn't expecting it, and that's what got them turned. But that's going to end our race. Doesn't end the broadcast, as we've got the unofficial results as well as driver interviews coming up. Stick around because on screen you'll see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve here at Montreal. That might have been one of the most chaotic finishes we've ever seen here in the Weekend Warriors. Really couldn't tell who was going to win that Spec 2 race. Before we get to that, let's go through our regular results. David Gaspers, our winner here today. Big gap between himself and Daniel Sadro this time, but Daniel had a little bit of a mistake that certainly increased that gap. Could have been a little bit smaller in the end. Miroslav Juracek rounded out the podium. In fact, the top three starters all finished within the top three, just slightly mixed up in there. Jason Perry, probably a bit of a surprise for him to finish fourth, especially considering he qualified 17th, but he was one-upped. Neil Santowski, 27th on the grid, to a top 5 for him. Donald Fitterer was 6th place. Then you've got Ian Haycox winding up in 7th. Samuel Dick himself from 23rd to 8th. That's a pretty good run for him. Emil Orza winds up in 9th, and Larry McLeod was our winner in Spec 2 and 10th. Everybody else, I think they need to ask for a calculator for Christmas, Steph.
Yeah, pretty much the show. PJ Gowdy, 2nd place in the Spec 2 class in 11th place, and that's the only Spec 2 driver you'll see on this page. Fred Desai, 12th place went to him. Chris Murakami, after an interesting start to the race, he only finds himself in 13th place, which a net gain of exactly 0 positions. Same thing for Edward Doherty, being up in the, I think, top 5 even at one point, only finds himself in 14th place after starting right there. And then Ramon Regalado, number 88, gains 5 positions up to a 15th place for him. Tim van Dornemalen, haven't spoken much about him. He also gained 5 positions from a 21st to 16th place. Billy Bob Wright, a very interesting last few laps for him. He only finishes in 17th after starting in 4th place. Kurt Nunes in 18th place for him. Paulo Brem starts in 24th up to 19th place. And Rick Hansen gains himself 14 positions to a top 20 position.
21st went to Stevie Ray. Sad to see that car not coming in a higher position because he was looking pretty good before that. Yuri Cox 22nd with Erwin Rotkrins winding up all the way down in 23rd. He was looking at a Spec 2 win before that. J. William Smith was 24th. He started at 40th. That's where he qualified. That wasn't just him intentionally putting it at the back there. He was up quite a bit. James DeBoer, 25th himself from 45th, although he did not qualify. Michael Shaw took 26, as we saw an extra pit stop in there, but still on the lead lap. Richard Franco was 27th, and Nick Carty, the last car in the lead lap, 28th. You see Bureau wound up a lap down, so he didn't complete, and Jacobson as well a lap down. All the other cars from here were laps down, some of them DNFs for the rest of the field. Looks like we've got our winner ready to talk to us, so we've pulled in David Gaspers. And David, it was a victory today. You managed to pull away, but you had a little hiccup there at the end. What happened with the lap traffic?
Yeah, I think it was just a misunderstanding. I thought since Bob was completely on the inside that he would go on the outside of the exit, so I wanted to overtake him on the inside, but he stayed on the inside as well.
As we were a little bit shocked that had happened, especially with the gap that you had, which was fortunate. You didn't lose a win because of that. Before that, back to the pit stops, also looked like you had a little bit of a scare right before you came in with some lap traffic. Is that what spurred you in, or was that your plan all along to come in on that lap?
I can't remember anything before my pit stop, at least anything like that.
Maybe it looked more dramatic from our view than it did from you. Still, that's 2 wins out of 2. We're trying to remember, did you win the last race or any of the last races of the season prior to last one? Because we're trying to figure out how many, what race win streak you're on at this point.
Yeah, I won a couple there. I think the last time that someone beat me was Sanford when I spun there.
Just incredible stuff. Looks like, we're getting confirmation from Steph in the background here on Zandvoort being the last time you were beat. Well, still, congratulations on that win. We'll see if you can keep the streak alive, and we'll see you in a week's time.
Yeah, thanks.
That was David Gasper's winner here today. And up next, I do believe that Steph has caught up with Daniel Sadro.
The real winner of today's race, because David Gaspers, that Spec 0 class driver, we're not going to count him, are we, Daniel?
I think you've made a really good argument. Let's consider Steve.
Well, Daniel, you had to work for your second place. Talk us through what happened there in turn 2 when you spun.
Oh, I had gotten the that gap over Miroslav and just lost a little bit of concentration, and it was an unforced error, and it was kind of a foolish error for me to make. But at least I was able to recover from it and still compete afterward.
Well, there you go. Second place still is. I mean, you gained 1 position. You started third place, so to gain a 1 position is still very nice. We're gonna go next round to Laguna Seca. How are you looking up for that?
Probably my least favorite track. We'll see how it goes. We go from one of my favorites to the least favorite, but I'll give it the good old college try as usual and see how the chips fall.
Well, at least you did hold your promise of a podium place here at Montreal. Well, Daniel, all I can say is best of luck for Laguna Seca, and maybe, hopefully, you have something for Gaspers over there.
Well, thanks, but I really think somebody else is going to have to carry the torch next week.
Oh, that's saying you're not going to be there.
No, well, I'm not going to be at the front. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, that's what you're saying. Well, I'm still going to hope for a podium from you.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it.
That was Daniel Sadri, your second place finisher. And Joe, it seems like the other drivers didn't find the way to the press com.
No, sadly, that's our last interview. The very humble Daniel Sadro talking to us there. Of course, we want to thank our sponsor, SimStickers. You can find them at simstickers.co.uk. Remember, they have a promo code that you can enter when you purchase items. Is GSRC10. You'll get 10% off all orders for the whole season if you use that. Also, thanks to iRacing for putting us on IESN. Make sure and subscribe to both our channel, GSRC, and to IESN so that you don't miss a moment of great racing here online. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast. They're listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music, and see the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Steph, Amjad, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, check out our social media. Our Twitter is at GSR Channel, Facebook is Global SimRacing Channel, and Instagram is GSRC_Graham. If you have subscribed, don't forget you're entered into a free drawing. Make sure that you subscribe to GSRC if you haven't yet. The next race, Laguna Seca, will take place on Sunday, December 29th at 2:45 p.m. Eastern. But we have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard. See you on the track.